There is something about these 3 days, 19, 20, and 21st of July, that many will not understand until it's too late. You might feel heavy. You might feel tired for no reason. You might feel like nothing is working. The motivation you had disappears. The confidence you carried yesterday becomes silent. The path that seems so clear now looks blurry. And in that moment, the first instinct will be to escape, to distract yourself, to think maybe something is wrong with you. But the truth is nothing is wrong. This is part of the process. These 3 days are not ordinary. These are the days that will hurt, but you will grow. Pain is not always physical. Sometimes it's emotional. Sometimes it's silent. Sometimes it doesn't scream. It just quietly takes away your energy, your clarity, your direction. July 19th, 20, and 21 will challenge you in exactly that way. It's not a storm outside, it's a storm inside. A storm that asks one question: are you awake? Are you really living? Or are you just repeating? Are you creating life or surviving it? The reason these days feel difficult is because they are revealing. They remove the surface layer. They shake the comfort. And they force you to stop. Not because the world wants to punish you, but because it wants you to pause so that you can look within, so that you can finally feel what's happening underneath. The discomfort is not random. It's pointing you towards yourself. But only if you're willing to look, you see, the body speaks. The mind speaks. Life speaks. But when you ignore it for too long, it gets louder. That's what 19, 20, and 21st of July are: loud signals. And the pain, it's not the enemy, it's the message. These 3 days are not your punishment. They are your awakening. The pressure you feel is not pushing you down. It is squeezing out the part of you that no longer fits that old fear, that old belief. For that old version of you that stayed silent when it should have spoken, that stayed small when it could have expanded, that settled when it was meant to rise. Most people will try to numb these days. They will scroll, distract, escape, complain. But if you sit with it, if you face it, something new will start to grow. Growth does not always feel like victory. Sometimes it feels like confusion. Sometimes it feels like exhaustion. But beneath that lies clarity if you stay long enough. July 19 is the beginning of this test. It whispers, are you paying attention? July 20 amplifies the discomfort. It raises the questions louder. And by July 21, if you've listened, really listened, something will shift quietly, deeply. Something inside you will never be the same again. The problem is, most people don't wait for that shift. They quit before it comes. They drown the message with noise. But you are not here to repeat that pattern. You're here to evolve. You're here to break cycles. That means sitting through the discomfort of these 3 days without needing to escape them. That means being brave enough to feel it all, brave enough to be honest, brave enough to grow. So ask yourself, what is the pain trying to show me? Why is it rising now? Why in these 3 days? What part of me have I been ignoring? These are not small questions. But now is not a time for small living. These days are intense because they are personal. They expose what you usually hide, not to shame you, but to invite you to choose something better, something real, something alive. Everything you need is already inside you, but it cannot rise until the noise clears. These days will do that. They will strip away the noise. At first, it will feel like a loss, but soon you'll realize it was a return to yourself, a return to presence, a return to power. So when you feel like giving up on July 19, pause. When your thoughts are heavy on July 20, observe. And when you feel lost on July 21, breathe. You are not lost. You are being asked to slow down. You are being asked to see clearly. Don't run. Don't react. Just be still. That stillness is your strength. You will not feel this way forever. But if you avoid the lesson, you will repeat it again and again until you listen, until you grow, until you change. This is your moment to break that loop. This is your invitation to grow from pain, not escape it. So remember this. These 3 days will hurt, but they are the beginning of something powerful. Not outside, inside. July 19th, 20th, and 21 are not a curse. They are the call. and you are ready to answer. You will feel it on the 19th of July. The resistance, the fight within yourself. You will want to control things. You will want to force peace, force clarity, force calm. But the more you push, the more things push back. The more you resist, the more tension grows. That is the first mistake. You think control will save you, but control is the illusion. What truly changes everything is acceptance, not giving up, not becoming passive, but accepting what is real in the present moment. On 20th July, this resistance gets louder. The more you try to escape discomfort, the more discomfort follows you. The more you fight your own emotions, the heavier they become. You try to stay strong, but strength is not in fighting the moment. Strength is in facing it, feeling it, and not running away from it. Resistance creates suffering. Acceptance creates space to grow, space to breathe, space to finally be real with yourself. By the time 20th of July arrives, something becomes very clear. You've spent so much time trying to avoid pain, avoid confusion, avoid discomfort. And now you're tired. And in that tiredness, there's a small silence. In that silence, you finally start to hear yourself. You don't need more noise. You don't need more answers. So you need to stop resisting what is. The pain of these 3 days does not come from life attacking you. It comes from you holding on too tightly to what no longer serves you. Every time you say, this should not be happening, you suffer. But when you say, this is happening, now what can I learn from it? You open the door, not for comfort, but for growth. These days, 1920 and 21st of July are not here to break you. They're here to wake you. And the lesson is simple. Stop fighting what you feel. Stop resisting the moment. Begin accepting it, not because it's perfect, but because it's real. Acceptance is not weakness. It is strength of the highest kind. It means you are mature enough to be present with pain. It means you trust life enough to let go of control. It means you are wise enough to know that not every battle needs to be fought. Some storms are survived by standing still. These 3 days are that kind of storm. Resistance looks like blame. Acceptance looks like ownership. Resistance says, why me? Acceptance says, what now? Resistance wants the world to change first. Acceptance changes from the inside. This is not about being passive. It's about being conscious. Conscious of how your reaction is shaping your reality. Conscious of how clinging is feeding your suffering. Conscious of how growth only begins when resistance ends. Watch yourself on the 19th of July. See how often your mind fights what is happening. See how often you say no to the moment and feel what that does to you. Watch yourself on the 20th July. See how that fight drains you, how it makes your energy collapse, how it feeds the chaos in your chest. Then watch what happens when you stop fighting, when you breathe instead of react, when you feel instead of escape. You will see something new, something powerful. 21st July is the day to make a choice. Will you keep resisting, or will you surrender to the truth of the moment? Will you keep carrying the weight, or will you allow yourself to lay it down? These questions don't need loud answers. They need honesty. They need presence. They need you to stop pretending and start listening to yourself, to your body, to your emotions. You are not weak for feeling overwhelmed. You are human. You are not broken because you feel pain. You are becoming. These 3 days are the fire. But you must decide, will you burn in it or will you be forged by it? Resistance burns you. Acceptance forges you. It transforms you. It sharpens you. It brings you back to what is real, what matters, what's worth your energy. Growth doesn't ask you to be perfect. It asks you to be real. And to be real, you have to be present. And to be present, you have to accept, not escape, not deny. Just accept what you feel, what you think, what you fear, it all belongs. When you allow it in, it begins to lose its power because you're no longer fighting, you're observing, you're learning, you're growing. Remember this as you walk through 1920 and 25th of July. These are not days to survive through resistance. These are days to awaken through acceptance. If you try to control them, they will control you. If you let them move through you, they will shape you. you will come out different, not weaker, stronger, not broken, reborn. These days are asking something of you. They are not just passing by, they are carving something into your path. Let them. Trust that the discomfort is part of the evolution. Trust that every moment of resistance you release is one step closer to peace. Not the kind of peace that comes from everything being perfect, but the kind of peace that comes from being okay with what is. Stop resisting. Start accepting. That's where your growth begins. That's where your power is waiting. Something inside you is shifting. You may not see it yet, but you can feel it. And especially during these 3 days, 19th, 20th, to 24th July, it will become stronger. These are not just days in a calendar. So these are days that press against your spirit, shake your thoughts, and make you question who you are becoming. You will feel it like pressure in your chest. You will feel it like doubt creeping into your mind. You will feel it like a weight you can't explain. And in that moment, you might believe that you are falling apart. But that is not what's happening. You are not breaking down. You are breaking through. It feels similar? Yes. Confusion, exhaustion, emotional weight. But the purpose is different. A breakdown leads to collapse. A breakthrough leads to transformation. The pain that comes in these 3 days is not random. It is intelligent. It knows exactly where to strike. It finds your weakness. It finds your fear. It finds your old habits that no longer serve you. And it puts pressure on them until they crack. This is not cruelty. This is cleansing. On the 19th July, you will feel the first wave. Things that used to feel stable might start to shake. People may disappoint you. Plans might fall through. So you'll start to question everything. That's the beginning of the crack. That's the start of the breakthrough. Because a new version of you is waiting behind that crack, but it can't come forward if the old surface stays untouched. By 20th July, or the discomfort intensifies. You might want to quit something. You might feel tired of trying. You might feel like nothing is working and nothing is clear. That's the moment you must stop expecting ease and start embracing the process. Growth was never meant to be soft. Transformation never arrives with comfort. You are being pushed for a reason. Your old self is shedding, but it does not want to go quietly. That's why the pain is loud. And then comes 20th, 21st July, the day where it all feels too much. You'll want to go back to how things were. You crave your comfort zone, but deep down, you know you've already outgrown it. You can't return to the old version of yourself because it no longer fits. The discomfort is a sign that you've stepped into unfamiliar territory. That's the point. Mm. That's where breakthroughs happen, not when you're confident, but when you're uncertain and you keep moving anyway. Every breakdown moment is an invitation to go deeper, to stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what am I supposed to learn right now? That shift in mindset is everything. Because when you ask that question, you stop seeing the pain as punishment and start seeing it as preparation. And that's what these 3 days are. They're preparing you, sharpening you, burning away what no longer belongs. The fear you feel during 19 and 20 and the 21st July, it's not your enemy. It's your compass. It's pointing at what's next, but you must go through it, not around it, not above it, through it. That's where the growth is. That's where the new chapter begins. But it won't begin if you keep holding on to the old one. You have to let go. Let go of how you thought life should look. Oh, let go of the version of yourself that stayed silent. Let go of the patterns that helped you survive, but are now stopping you from evolving. Mm. That's why these days feel like they're pulling you apart, because they are pulling you out of old patterns, old identities, old limits. It hurts. Yes, but that pain is the teacher, and the lesson is simple. You cannot grow without letting something go. You cannot evolve without something ending. You cannot rise without something falling away. So during 1920 and 21st July, feel the pain, but don't panic. Feel the confusion, but don't run. Feel the exhaustion, but don't collapse. Stay present. Stay with it. Stay inside the fire long enough to see that it's not here to destroy you. It's here to burn off the excess, burn off the illusion, burn off the false layers you've been carrying for too long. You're not falling apart, you're being remade. But growth demands honesty. These 3 days will not lie to you. They will show you the truth about yourself, your choices, your direction. They will show you where you're out of alignment. They will reveal the cost of staying small. They will reveal the pain of pretending everything is fine when it isn't. And if you're willing to look, really look, you will never go back to who you were before. This is not just about surviving 1920 and 20 fun July. So it's about understanding what they are doing to you and what they are asking from you. They are not ordinary. They are the gateway, a crack in the wall, a mirror in time, a sacred disruption. Use them. Don't waste them by complaining or numbing or escaping. Go through the discomfort with awareness. Ask the hard questions. Let the false self fall apart. Because what comes after this, after 20 Fansa July, will not be the same. You will walk differently, think differently, choose differently. That is the breakthrough. And it begins in the moments when everything feels too much, but you stay, you breathe, you listen, and you decide to grow no matter how hard it feels. These are the hardest days, but they are also the most important. Let them change you. You will not find answers in noise, especially not on 1920 or 20 Fansa July. These 3 days are not asking you to speak louder, move faster, or search harder. They are asking you to become still. They are asking you to step away from everything that distracts you, because what you truly need to hear is not outside of you. It is already within, but you will never hear it if you keep running. You will never understand it if you keep chasing more information, more opinions, more stimulation. These are not days of movement. These are days of silence. In silence, truth speaks. But most people are afraid of it. They avoid stillness because they know what's waiting for them in that space. Their own thoughts, their own emotions, the truth they've been avoiding. But silence doesn't create problems, it reveals them. And only what is revealed can be healed. On the 19th of July, you will feel a subtle call, a pull away from noise, a resistance to stimulation. So your mind may feel heavy. Social media may feel draining. Conversations may feel meaningless. That is not a coincidence. That is your soul asking you to retreat, not forever, but just long enough to listen. Because there's something important rising within you and you need space to hear it. 20th of July is when that inner voice gets louder, not through shouting, but through discomfort, through anxiety, through restlessness. If you're paying attention, you'll notice the body start to resist the outer world. Your energy may drop. Your mood may shift. You may want to be alone, and you should honor that, because solitude is not isolation, it is alignment. It is the space where you return to yourself. And then 21st of July arrives, the most intense of all. Not because something dramatic happens, but because something deep awakens. It is the moment when silence begins to speak clearly. You start to notice how often you've been avoiding your own presence. You start to see how much noise you've let into your life. And in that awareness, something powerful is born, your responsibility. You begin to realize that growth is not found in more effort, but in deeper listening. Most people never stop long enough to understand themselves. They keep filling time, filling space, filling silence with distractions. But nothing changes until you stop, until you listen, until you sit alone with your thoughts and observe without judgment. These 3 days, 19, 20, 21 July, are an invitation to do just that, to cut away the noise, to return to clarity, to remember what actually matters. Silence is not empty, it is full of answers. But those answers don't come immediately, they come slowly, they come quietly, they arrive when you're not demanding them. That's the discipline, learning how to be still long enough for truth to arrive on its own, not forced, not controlled, just allowed. This is not a time to seek advice from others. This is not a time to ask the world who you are. This is a time to ask yourself and wait. That waiting is uncomfortable, but it is necessary. It teaches you patience. It teaches you trust. And it teaches you to stop depending on outside validation to feel whole. Go sit in silence on the 19th of July. Observe your breath. Feel the weight in your chest. Listen, not to the world, but to the subtle signals inside. What emotions have you been ignoring? What thoughts keep repeating? What decisions have you delayed? What pain have you buried under busyness? These are the real questions. And they only rise in silence. On the 20th of July, continue. Don't break the rhythm. Let solitude become your mirror. Walk alone. Reflect. Keep your phone away. Cancel noise. Be with yourself, not to escape others, but to meet the parts of yourself that only speak in quiet. You'll be surprised what rises regrets you forgot, dreams you've buried, truths you've silenced. But that's how healing begins, not by shouting, but by listening. And by 21st of July, you will understand, you will feel it in your body. A quiet strength, a calm fire, a kind of power that doesn't need to be proven. You won't need to explain yourself. You won't need to fix everything. You'll just know who you are, where you're going, and what no longer deserves your attention. That kind of clarity is rare, and it only comes when you make space for it. You don't need more motivation, you need more awareness. So you don't need more talking. You need more observing. You don't need to be louder. You need to be clearer. These 3 days are offering you that clarity, but only if you step away from the noise long enough to receive it. So take these days seriously. 19, 20, and 21st of July are not here to entertain you. They are here to shift you, not through outside events, but through inner stillness. Turn off the world. Turn on your awareness. Stop running. Stop reacting. Just be still. And in that stillness, watch who you become. Because in silence, transformation begins. There are days when the mind feels heavy and the emotions come without warning. You don't understand why you feel anxious. You don't know why sadness returns like a shadow. You try to focus, but your thoughts keep drifting. This is not random. This is not weakness. This is a signal. And during 1920 and 21st July, these signals will rise stronger than usual. These are not ordinary days. These are days when what you've been avoiding finally asks to be seen. Every emotion you feel has a root. It comes from somewhere. It has a story. It has a reason. But most people never take the time to find out what that reason is. They push it away. They distract themselves. They keep moving, hoping the feeling will fade. But it doesn't. It hides and it waits. And then it returns louder, stronger, heavier, especially on days like 19, 20, and the 21st of July. You will feel something on the 19th of July. Maybe it's restlessness. Maybe it's fear. Maybe it's an old sadness you thought was gone. Instead of ignoring it, you must stop, sit with it. Ask, what is this emotion trying to show me? Not, how do I get rid of it? But why is it here? This is how growth begins, not by escape, but by investigation. The pain you feel has a message. It's not there to destroy you. It's trying to show you something you've forgotten. Maybe a moment from the past that shaped your behavior. Maybe a belief you've been carrying that no longer serves you. Maybe a part of yourself you keep rejecting. You will never know until you trace it, until you go deep enough to find its root. On 20th of July, the emotions will rise again, stronger this time. The more you push them down, the more they push back. This is not punishment. This is alignment. Life is bringing forward what needs to be healed, and healing can only happen when you face the root, not the surface, not the symptom, but the original wound. You might feel anger, but beneath that anger is pain. You might feel fear, but beneath that fear is a story. You might feel stuck, but beneath that is a decision you never made. This is the work, not pretending everything is fine, but finally looking at what's been holding you back. These emotions are not obstacles. They are doorways. If you have the courage to walk through them, you will grow. If you run from them, they will follow you again and again. By 21st July, so something becomes clear. The feelings you once avoided are not as scary as you thought. They are simply parts of you that need attention, not to stay forever, but to be acknowledged. That sadness, it wants to be understood. That fear, it wants to be released. That confusion, it wants to be unraveled. But none of this can happen unless you slow down and trace the feeling back to where it began. Ask yourself, when did I first feel this? What memory does this remind me of? What belief is attached to this emotion? Is it really mine? Or did someone else place it in me? These questions will take you to the root. And the root is where change begins. Most people stay stuck because they treat symptoms. They try to fix their thoughts without exploring their emotions. They try to stay busy to avoid feeling. But the wound remains, and then it shows up during quiet moments. It shows up in relationships. It shows up in failure. It shows up in dreams that never become real because until the root is healed, the pattern continues. That's why these 3 days are so important. 19, 20, and 21st of July are offering you a mirror, not to show you what's wrong, but to show you what's hidden. This is the time to journal, to reflect, to ask better questions, to stop blaming the world and start understanding yourself. Every emotion is a map. It points somewhere. Follow it. Don't be afraid of what you find. The truth never hurts more than the lie you've been living. And the deeper you go, or the more light you bring into the shadow. This is not a time for surface level thinking. This is a time for self honesty. And that honesty may sting, but it's the kind of sting that sets you free. You can't grow if you keep covering up what needs to be felt. You can't heal if you keep running from yourself. So use these 3 days. Sit in silence. Trace the pain. Follow it to the source. Cry if you need to. Breathe through it. But don't turn away. Turning away is what kept you stuck. Turning inward is what will set you free. Growth does not always look like progress. Sometimes it looks like sitting in discomfort and not escaping it. Sometimes it looks like feeling emotions you've buried for years. But that's how you shift. That's how you evolve. That's how you make sure you don't carry the same wounds into your future. So when 19th of July comes, don't ignore the feeling. When 20th of July arrives, go deeper into it. And on the 21st of July, release what you no longer need to carry. This is the work. This is the healing. This is the path. And it all begins with one simple truth. Every difficult emotion has a root. Go find it. And everything will begin to change. The days of 19, 20, and 21st of July are not just passing by. They are carving something into your life, quietly, without permission, without warning. These are the kinds of days that do not ask you if you're ready. They arrive, they hit, and they change something inside you. And the truth is, after these days are over, you won't be the same. You can't be because something will shift. So you will see parts of yourself you didn't notice before. You will feel emotions you've buried. So you will come face to face with a version of yourself that is no longer welcome in the life you want to live. And that is exactly the point. You don't grow through comfort. You grow through confrontation. You grow through pain, through pressure, through deep internal disruption. The kind that makes you question who you are, what you value, and how long you've been lying to yourself. These 3 days are doing just that, not with chaos outside, but with chaos inside. On the 19th of July, something breaks open, not violently, quietly. A realization may come. A thought may land. Something inside you might whisper, you can't keep going like this. That one moment can begin the transformation because every major change begins with a crack. And the crack appears when the weight of staying the same becomes too heavy to carry. That's what 19th of July brings, a subtle but powerful rupture in your pattern. Then comes 20th of July. The pressure builds. Emotions feel heavier. Maybe the body feels tired. Maybe your thoughts feel overwhelming. Don't resist it. Observe it. The shift is happening. And this is the part most people don't understand. Before you become someone new, your old self will panic. It will hold on. It will resist. It will scream to survive. Because change feels like death to the ego. It wants to cling to the familiar Even if the familiar is slowly killing you, you are not dying. You are shedding. Let the discomfort come. Let the identity dissolve. Let the masks fall. Because who you are becoming cannot emerge until who you used to be stops leading your life. That's what 20th of July is doing. It's stripping away the excess. It's pulling away what no longer belongs to the next version of you. And then comes 21st of July, the final push, the final breath before the shift. This is the moment you decide you can return to old habits, or you can rise, you can numb yourself again, or you can face the truth. You can shrink, or you can expand. This day holds power not because of what happens outside, but because of what you choose inside. The decision to let go. The decision to release what's no longer serving you. The decision to stop slaying the character you've outgrown. Change is uncomfortable because it destroys routine. It makes you aware. It calls you to grow. But growth is not just about learning something new. It's about unlearning everything false. It's about returning to what is real. And that return always costs something. You lose comfort, you lose distraction, you lose excuses. But what you gain is clarity, presence, strength. After these 3 days, your life will not look different, but you will. The way you think, the way you respond, the way you choose, it will all be different. Because these days leave a mark, a scar that reminds you of what you went through, a reminder that you endured, that you stayed, that you didn't run when things got hard. People think transformation is loud. It's not. It's quiet. It happens when you say no to what you used to tolerate. It happens when you sit in silence and realize you've been living someone else's life. It happens when you finally let go, not because you're weak, but because you're done carrying what was never yours. You will walk differently after 24th of July, not because the world changed, but because your inner world did. Because now, you've seen what you're capable of. You've survived your own darkness. And once you've done that, nothing outside can shake you the same way again. This is not a breakdown. It's a breakthrough. But it's not automatic. It's a choice. You have to choose to stay awake. You have to choose to keep going even when it hurts. So you have to choose to release the past even when it's all you've known. That's what these 3 days are asking from you. Not perfection, not performance, just presence, just honesty, just courage. So don't waste them. Don't numb them. Don't rush through them like they mean nothing. 1920 and 21st July were never meant to necessary. They were meant to be necessary. The discomfort is the doorway. Walk through it. And when you do, don't expect applause. Expect peace. Expect clarity. Expect silence. Because true transformation is quiet. It's personal. It happens inside. And when it's over, no one may notice the change, but you will. You'll know that something deep has shifted, that you are no longer the same. And from that moment on, everything begins to move differently. Because once you grow, you can never shrink back to who you used to be. And that is the purpose of these days. To break what no longer serves and to build what is ready to rise.